Hello to the chicos and to the chicas. This is the video that I never wanted to make, and this is the tribute to Grandmaster Daniel Naroditsky, who passed away a day or so ago. Very tragically, very suddenly. A young man's life was lost, one that deserved so much more in life, and now the whole chess world mourns as one. In shock and disbelief. I personally didn't know Danya at all. We haven't met, and we also didn't talk online. We really didn't cross paths at all. Nonetheless, I feel like we had a very one-sided connection, if you will, which is that I was a huge admirer of Danya's work, in particular his educational content. I myself look upon my own work as one of a chess content creator with a very strong educational angle, and in this regard Danya was the ultimate role model. And indeed, I always looked up to him when it came to his educational YouTube content, his speedrun videos. Basically, Danya was the music teacher who could play in every single musical instrument you can think of. He was the chess version of that. He could convey an idea in the Alpine Sicilian to a 300 rated player in a way they could definitely grasp it, and at the same time explain the very same concept to a 2300 rated FIDE master. He was truly one of a kind at passing on messages, on making other people understand the game, its depth. And so this video is going to be dedicated to Danya and his legacy in a unique way, because I thought that the best I could do is to showcase some of his best games. I suppose that's a really cool way to remember an incredibly gifted chess player, a remarkable teacher, and above all, a very kind human. And by the way, a wordsmith too. I mean, golly gosh, it was a joy to listen to him when he spoke. If you were a native Russian speaker, I'm sure you would understand and appreciate his Russian knowledge, but even in English, or especially in English rather, it was a delight to listen to him. Anyway, without further ado, I'm going to demonstrate and show you a couple of games played by Danya that stood out to me throughout his career, and I would like to remember him through these marvelous victories, starting with Wesley So. 27-72. That is a tall task for any player. And here we go. I'm going to blitz through the opening. It's a Rui Lopez Archangel where there's a trade on e3, and this is going to be the key factor of the game, as now Danya has an f-file to work with. He has got a queenside attack to boot, and indeed he sets about doing just that immediately, bringing the knight toward f5, or at least attempting bringing the other knight to d5, and bringing the queen to the g file, where we can cash in on this pin and build up the f file attack. Now, having all said this, the position is very much in balance, and Wesley so far has been defending really well. And actually it took a bit of a creative genius here to come up with this h4 idea. Stock standard, you might say, and I would agree with that, but nonetheless it's a really cool concept. Danya wants to push this pawn as far as it goes, and actually this is where Wesley makes a mistake. I think that in this line he miscalculated the consequences of h5, which were absolutely catastrophic to black. The move that I think Wesley may have overlooked, there are two candidates for this blunder. One early on, that after h6 brilliance, king takes rook f6, I do not have to retake, but go check and take. This is the less likely candidate for what black might have missed. The more likely candidate is that he might have thought that this was only good for a draw on account of check. But actually, white here has a fabulous knockout blow with bishop e8, beautifully interfering on the back rank, introducing queen f8 mate threat, and after rook takes e8, of course, we can just go on with a beautiful checkmate. So something was missed by Wesley somewhere in this line, and so after h6 he drops the king back to h8, excuse me, which is met by yet another banger. What a move. Queen g5 on the board, and now both heavies are hanging, but neither is capturable. Takes his checkmate on the back rank, and takes here is also checkmate on g7, and of course rook takes f6 is now going to be absolutely terminal. Wesley captured the bishop, not so much to win material, but in order to allow the queen to read out into the defense, but too little too late. Rook f6 played, and now after rook e8, Danya finishes off with another flourish. Rook takes g6, and this move just introduces a few too many mate patterns. In particular, the rook g7 one is what I would like to point out, as now this introduces rook h7, queen g7, as well as a potential pile up on the 7th rank, whichever is appropriate. Rook g8 played, but after queen e7, it was really game over. Knight f8 and rook takes g8 would be the end. I believe that Wesley resigned after queen e7. The rest was me adding to it. An absolutely beautiful victory in the trademark style of Danya: attack, initiative, sharp tactics. That is what his favorite style of chess was, and that's what we are going to see in this game, where he is facing off against Andrei Vovk, I believe a Ukrainian GM, and on the menu is a Rossolimo Sicilian, and actually Danya plays here a Morphe-style, absolutely stunning opening, very much akin, by the way, to the Judith Polgar Joel Lothier game that is in our Master Your Chess with Judith Polgar Chessable course, where we see this idea. Judith already played d4 right here. Once again, very much imitating Morphe style. Danya played first knight a3, knight c4, but once again, d4, good to go, let's go, striking while the iron is hot, disallowing the indicated move, kingside castle, which black also badly wishes to play, but now he's being kept busy in the center with d4, and indeed, the more we take, the worse it gets. ED was probably the lesser of the evils. When g3, bishop f4 would come with this d6 attack, I left the analysis in, and the main theme remains that we want to plonk a piece on d6 and completely immobilize the queen side. Even worse was knight d4 per game, take, as now queen f3 allowed Daniel to complete development in a very, very rapid fashion, and again knight d6 completely disabling the black army. This is as good as it gets, but the conversion is so beautiful. Look at this. Queen a3, ensuring that the knight stays on d6, it can't be challenged. A6, bishop c4, hitting f7. Now it is time for the rooks to join the party, and when everybody is ready to fight, Danya swings back to the king side, and now he's getting ready for the final tactic, introducing it with e5, and now the threat is knight f5, which will not be captured on account of bishop h6 with an unstoppable mate. Now we understand the idea behind e5. It was to take away queen f6 from black. Rook c7, and as per introduced, knight f5 going in for the kill. Obviously the loss of the dark squared bishop will come together with the fatal weakening of the black king. Queen d3, and now white is really ready to finish off business here or here. It doesn't really matter. So knight e5 was more or less forced. Queen e3, and here we are finishing with a beautiful tactic. We take f6, lure the king out to the open, and then queen takes c1, discovering the attack on the black queen, thus disallowing the king to escape back towards the king side. And now that route has been cut off, and the black king is hopelessly exposed to the mercy of the beautifully coordinated white army. Vovk here chooses to die very quickly, throwing in the towel with king f5, allowing a beautiful checkmate with rook e4, and after king f3, either or is going to be a checkmate. Now, other than being a formidable player over the board, also noticeable, in fact, perhaps most importantly, Danya, as we all know, was a huge player on the online scene, in particular in Blitz and Bullet. In both categories, we can safely say that he was top 10 in the world, no problems. And yeah, he played so many games. And so I thought that I would like to dedicate part of this tribute to Danya's two main passions, the online chess and the King's Indian defense. So here comes two games that Danya played quite recently, actually, online in his beloved King's Indian. You knew that you were in for some tough times when Danya played the King's Indian against you with the black pieces, always thriving for the attack and the initiative. And here too, we're going to see some crazy stuff. F5, take, knight g5 coming into e6 is the hinted plan, but we dodged the bullet first on h5. Of course, knight e6 now could be captured. Take, knight c6, and black is fine. Having all said that, knight f3 here was a very unfortunate move, as after knight c5 castles, both pawn pushes in the center are very tough to deal with. Danya opts for f4, trying to go for a very quick and deadly kingside attack there. Queen c2 played, e4, and essentially the game is already decided as these pawns make their way all the way to the white king, and h3 is captured. However, the finish becomes absolutely stellar, partly because black's play is a little bit inaccurate, but once again, gentle reminder, it's a blitz game. For example, here knight h5 is the engine's preference to highlight the attack on this one, but also it hitting g3. Knight e6 correct, take, bishop d4. Now the deadly King's Indian bishop steps up to create a brutal threat. On this note, by the way, just to add a little smile to this very sad occasion, in today's stream I was also going through some games by Danya, and someone mentioned or recommended that perhaps the fianchetto bishop should be called the Danyachetto bishop, because Danya loved, of course, fianchettoing his kingside bishop in the King's Indian setups. Knight e4, queen e8 incoming for Matutsky, queen h5, bishop g2, and then queen h2 is the threat. But white is alert, and here we are going to experience something remarkable. Queen d2 played, and now queen h5 is well met by queen g5 check, trading queens. So we dodge first, but then comes queen h4. And seemingly, white is just totally fine. h3 is in fact hanging, no mate on the h-file. How could this be not winning for white? I tell you how. By self-pinning ourselves here, but now prioritizing the pin over here and going in for the kill with bishop takes f2. A fantastic finish, fittingly delivered by the Danyachetto bishop. Knight takes f2, check. Now queen f1 seemingly still is holding, as knight is hanging and queen is offered to trade, but nay. We have queen e5 coming in from g3, so bishop f4 is forced, and of course the fine gold rule, always sack the exchange, take, and the game is as good as over. After queen h3, the finish is going to be beautiful, bringing all the boys to the party, and now a few checks, and that is going to be the end of this beautiful attack in the King's Indian. Now Danya played an awful lot of games against fellow streamer and fellow grandmaster Tuan Minh Le, a Vietnamese player, once again an incredibly gifted bullet and blitz player, and this is probably my all-time favorite of this batch at the very least, and so I left it for last. A very cool game once again in the King's Indian, but this time we are looking at the fianchetto variation. So Danya is going to sack after a very, very problematic opening. Let's just go with that. He's going to sacrifice a full rook. Check this out. He plays knight d5, as in Min Lee. We go, no worries, you can have it. He drops back, defending the knight on f3, takes, knight c7, and from here on out, what you are about to observe is an absolute King's Indian / how to play with initiative masterclass. Watch. Knight c5, because of course if your queen is hanging, you're not moving it. Queen d1, queen c6, and the rook is gone. And now we just begin to play chess casually with a full rook down. Watch. f5. Not so casual actually. Immediate game winning threat with fe4. Bishop g2. fe. Knight d4. Min Lee is also a sharp-witted tactician. Now bishop d1, knight takes c6 was reverse. The previously seen knight c5 idea of both queens hanging. So Danya goes, no thank you. I like my queens on the board very much. Knight e2. Now that allows our knight to penetrate via d3, but first we complete development with knight c6. Black's initiative is growing and growing and growing like an avalanche that starts very small on the top of the mountain, but as it reaches about the halfway point, you already see that, oh boy, is it going to take everything in its wake? Yes. Bishop e3, knight in, rook e1, other knight in. And now we are infiltrating on the very tender light squares. Min Lee takes on e4, but that invites bishop f3 with the deadly threat of queen h3, queen g2. So this bishop has to be captured. And now the white king is tragically exposed on the light squares. So much so that Min Lee goes to king h3. And here Danya, understandably, missed an absolutely glorious idea to finish this game. Mind you, he played an even more glorious idea, but that was less accurate. So Danya, he played knight fe1, excuse me, crazy city, allowing the check with the queen. The better move would have been, very quickly, g5, with the idea that against most random moves, we have g4 check, king takes, queen check, king here, and mate, no less. But look at knight fe1. What an absolute banger of a move after a repetition of moves. 13 seconds on the clock, by the way. He goes to play knight fe1 with queen g2 threatened, and after the obvious rook takes, he takes g2, f2, excuse me, with the rook facilitating queen g2 check. And of course, bishop takes, knight takes, king h4 is mate. Look at this, rook f2. And so Min Lee goes queen takes d3, but unfortunately this allows, unfortunately for him, a very beautiful checkmate with queen h5. And there is nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. The king is mated. So, ladies and gentlemen, with a very heavy heart, I am posting this tribute to the fabulous chess player, content creator, and first and foremost, super kind human, Daniel Naroditsky. And I'm going to make here a request to all of you who wishes to leave a comment down below to keep it very, very, very civil. Please do not point fingers. Please do not bring up names. Please do not bring up cause of death, whatever. Let's keep it very respectful. That is the very least that Danya deserves, and that's how he would want it as well. Yeah, it's very difficult to say anything. We have lost a beautiful human, a fantastic player, a great educator. Rest in peace, Daniel Naroditsky.